ये परमार्थ रे कारणे चारों धारी जुड़े.
A holy man once lived alone on this mountain. He was known as the Lord of Birds. When the Maharaja wanted to build his fort here, the holy man cursed the place with drought. To counter the curse, the Maharaja decided to bury a man alive in the foundations of his fort. One of the Megwal community volunteered, low-caste leather workers and weavers. These musicians are Megwals. They are still honoured here at the fort in Jodhpur, as are the birds. Now, the rush towards modernity in India threatens to bury this music. But those who seek it out strive to rekindle the music and its audience. We're following song seeker John Singh round the remotest villages of rural Rajasthan in northwest India, scouting for talent.
You don't know what to expect. It could be completely crap or it could be wonderful. Generally our luck is in a day we'll always find something magical.
It's the first time you've been here, yes?
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with the community of Megwals, but they're spread out all over Rajasthan. But I have not met these particular people.
Where do they sit, the Megwals, in the caste system?
They're not untouchables in the strict sense, but they are from the lower caste community. So they will never be in the center of the village, they'll always be on the sides.
A lot of cars would find it tricky to get here, wouldn't they, John?
Yeah, when I started going around Rajasthan, I had a four-wheel drive, but it was always a five-seater. You'd get to a village and then they'd say, oh, there's a fantastic flute player somewhere there, and I wouldn't know how to get there, so two more people would come in.
We've got to go up there, or do we walk? No, we take the car. And these Megwals, they are weavers by profession, is that right?
The people that we are seeing, I'm told, a lot of them still have pit looms. So they do have some income from that. And the rest of the time would be singing.
John's mission is to help traditional musicians make a living from their music, so they don't have to join the drift to the towns. And he's not keen on what towns are doing to the music.
They've gone into semi-pop, amusing to a larger audience. They've adopted the harmonium because it makes a shitload of noise. But generally when they come to us, like if they have to perform at our festival, we say stop that. ये तो आपके यहाँ तो आपकी बरसात खूब ढंग के होगी।
ठीक है साहब, बहुत अच्छी।
The men here sing to supplement their earnings from weaving, farming and building. The women don't sing in public, but at village weddings, births and deaths, and for themselves.
So every word has a double meaning, but double meaning in erotic.
Erotic.
Little erotic twist. So they are singing that. That's why they are giggling and all that.
John Singh is travelling with Prakash Detha, an expert in the music of this area.
And chung bajao jana jinder.
What'd she say?
She's telling that they sang that young boy and a young girl dancing with a handkerchief in their hand and their hands in hand under a banyan tree they are dancing. This is during the monsoon. So there is a joy.
Because 10 months in the year we don't have rain.
Rain.
Rain means that there'll be food. Food means we'll be able to live.
It's the most romantic season of the year. And monsoon comes and the romance of the earth and the sky start.
Birds do it.
Yes, everyone. And, yes, all these girls and women learn from their childhood without any class or tutor or teacher, just being there. Hundreds of songs they memorize.
And I love the range between the ages here. There's this older woman in the middle and then all these very young women.
She'll remember everything from her childhood. They will learn from her and then they will teach the next generation, and that's how it goes on. So she's the storehouse.
So for you, that's quite important in your in finding.
Totally. It's the enabling the transfer of knowledge from one generation to the next. If there's a gap, it'll be very difficult to come back again.
What do you think of the singing, the quality of the singing?
This is the first time I've seen 10 Meghwals singing together. A lot of the Meghwals that we've been working with can be just 2 or 3. They go into a trance. They shut their eyes and get totally involved with what they're singing.
John has started a foundation to support the musicians. They bring the best performers they find to RIF, the Rajasthan International Folk Festival.
Imagine you're Simon Cowell. Would you decide they're good enough to come to RFF or not?
Not for RIF. Musically, they would have been not good enough for RIF. Not good enough. Namaste. Kaise ho?
With his community director, Vinod Joshi, John goes to visit 2 sisters, whom they took to RIF last year.
Fortunately, all the art forms of Rajasthan belong to the lower caste people. If it is with the middle class, we would have lost it. But it's great because they are really out of the mainstream.
The Devi sisters' father was a musician, a devotee of the Hindu goddess Mataji. Thanks to him and to her, they aren't in Purda and are able to perform in public.
When I was younger, I sometimes sang alone in the shelter of sand dunes and trees, so that people from my mother-in-law's side couldn't see me.
Later, when my child became more independent, I got more confident. It has my guru's blessing, so what can they do? The in-laws or anyone in the society? How can they harm me?
Now everyone is happy that we're doing so well.
सेदा छोड़ता तो हुए बाप को ना
when they sing, they actually shut their eyes and they enter into that sort of domain, darkness or whatever, or high. And then it comes out from there. Of course, the words are enormously powerful. I mean, one of the things said that there is, to find the way to happiness, you have to find a teacher who will take you there. Then you give yourself into the teachings and it will take you to that realm. Of course, it comes very close to my heart because that's what I follow. And I suppose if I wasn't that shy, I'd be dancing in complete abandon, because that's what it's all about. Wonderful. She said, wait, I will sing for you now. And she sang. So that's very personal and wonderful. First to God, then to you. Not bad.
Vinod comes from a village near here himself, though he went away to study.
Oh, you look like a bridegroom. Wow, your outfit looks really beautiful. How are you, son? All well?
If you ask him if he's good, what else is the poor boy going to say? He isn't going to say no, it's rubbish.
You need to understand their rituals, their taboos. Once you understand, then you can interact and they can give you something substantial they have. Otherwise, they don't share with you.
Traditionally, these Chang drummers only come together for the spring festival of Holi.
They may be cobbler, they may be farmer, driver, the shoemaker, anyone. So they are just enjoying the festivities. They are playing together and dancing, spending time together with the joy.
The Chang drummers, they are not professionals, they're semi-professionals.
Not at all. And we shouldn't say like that semi. It's a totally, it's for their joy.
John Singh and his wife, Faith, got the idea of defending this music when they were busy reviving the dying art of hand block printing.
There was so much depth and breadth to the tradition that you could just go on forever. And we built up a very successful business, which now employs hundreds of people.
They also got involved in preserving the buildings of Rajasthan.
What we saw is that actually the whole fabric of our state, Rajasthan, has a wealth of tradition, which is what we call virasat. And that wealth of tradition can maybe reinvent itself into the modern world, because at the end of the day, the virasat, the heritage, is the expression of the people of the land.
John Dada was always very keen on music. He was always inviting these folk musicians at his house, at his private parties, and he was sponsoring them.
This was to grow from a private passion into the foundation to support village musicians and the annual international festival, RIF.
I welcome you all in this beautiful, magical musical evening here of the Rajasthan International Folk Festival.
As the free concert in the town centre kicks off the festival, the Maharaja throws a more select opening night party under the brightest full moon of the year. Co-founder and patron of the festival, he hosts it within the massive walls of his 15th century fort.
This is great up there. There you are. Is this music that I'm listening to here, authentic music?
Yes, yes. You'll hear them at the festival.
RIF has become something very special, acknowledged around the world. The audience consists of a third locals, a third from the rest of India, and a third from the West. Our Chang drummers have made it to the festival.
We've come here especially for you, to hear you sing. There are 9 of us all together.
We'll get ready for you then.
It's lovely, really great.
Comes from what's called the Bhopa Bhopi tradition. A husband and wife team who are musicians, storytellers, as well as priests. After her husband passed away, Bhauri Devi, to earn a living, began singing other kinds of songs accompanied by her 2 sons. But these are not her only children. She has 7 others. And she actually looks after a total family of 22 people. And she actually sustains that through her singing, her work, likewise her 2 sons. And this is how they eke their living. She's an extremely tough and resilient woman.
I was very young when my mother died. I don't remember Mummy. There was no one else to sing with Papa. He'd play and I would sing. We'd go round the villages. They got me married when I was 9, 10 years old. I was 12 when my eldest son was born.
Did you start singing right after you got married, with your husband?
Yes. If the Bopa knows the song and the Bopi does not, there cannot be a marriage. If they both sing, only then can there be a wedding. For 3 years after their father passed away, I was in bad shape. Looking after the family, it's all down to me.
This year, the foundation took Bauri Devi to the Edinburgh Festival.
Bauri Devi and her 2 sons are actually traveling out of India for the very first time. So they feel very privileged, and I would suggest you too should feel a little privileged.
Playing in the National Museum of Scotland is a great opportunity. But the point is not to turn the musicians into museum pieces.
It's a living heritage. And if the people have lost their songs, then that living heritage would die. And so I wasn't interested at all in conservation or archiving. If they can't earn their livelihood, and if they can't get self-respect, then their children are never going to adopt it. And if they don't, then it's gone. So 400-500 years of that tradition will have gone away. And that's what we are hoping we can prevent. Everybody in the village knows when a big car comes in, and they will start talking and wondering whose house are they going to. When she came back from Edinburgh, most of the village turned out to greet her.
Bauri's son, Krishna, has increasingly turned to pop music to make a living, playing his harmonium at village dances. He's bought this Jeep with the proceeds. Ironically, going to Edinburgh makes him value the local music more. It's what makes him special. But going abroad is having another effect.
Now she's got it in her head after having been abroad where we had such good facilities, like good house and aircon. We had never seen such things. This is nothing compared to that.
Bauri, why are you getting worried? The house will get sorted sooner or later. There's no rush. You've spent so many years in this place. Forget about the dreams of Britain. Even when I go there, I think it is a dream too.
But the attention they're receiving is stopping other villagers treating them like outcasts.
I had a long chat with the son. He says after Edinburgh for about 10 days, there were 10, 15 people coming every day to drink tea and inquire about stuff. So his stature in society is, people take him seriously. It has a very positive effect because people won't treat him that house at the edge of town. And I was telling him, I say, you're damn lucky, you're the highest house in town, you can look down upon people now.
Now we're off on a trip into Bowery Davy's past. Miles down dirt roads where electricity pylons haven't yet reached. This is music akin to magic. Music to evoke powers of healing. Sacred music. Only 7 or 8 of these storyteller priests, Bopas, still exist. The epic tale unfolds over 4 whole nights.
Everyone said, please go to Sagar Bopa. He is the last few Bopas in our society who can tell you everything about our rituals.
So Sagar Bopa really has got the whole story. He could recite for 4 nights.
Yes, he said, you do organize and we will show you.
You see, when he was preparing, he just totally soaked in this.
He recites the ancient story of the life of the folk hero and god Pabraji in front of a huge hand-painted scroll. It's like a mobile temple.
There's a whole ritual behind it. There's got to be a girl in the house who's not married, and her prayers have to be said before the whole thing starts. And then the painting starts, which takes a long time. But while they're doing that, they can stand on it and paint. And when the final thing is made, it's like they put the eyes on the gods. Then it's deemed to have become a temple, and you don't put your feet and you just roll it up. It's never bought by Bopa. It's always gifted by some patron. But each one of these squares has a story. Escaped from somewhere, taken a prisoner. Not many people like that exist, and there are not many paintings which have power.
The big question is whether a Bopa like this can still earn a living from his art. John thinks sadly not.
People who need the Bopa would be fairly traditional people. Maybe modern people don't believe in the spirit and they don't believe in the soul even. With modern medicines and everything else that's come in, why are they likely to call a Bopa? It is dwindling.
What God has given you, it is important you pass that on to your children.
Yes, absolutely.
It shouldn't leave with you. It is important that all this is learnt.
Someone once said, one who listens with his inner mind gains knowledge, which leads to release from the cycle of birth and death, and so on to nirvana. All humans are equal.
Yes, they are.
But even though they are built equal, their minds are different. Different minds have different strengths. The worst in this is one who has an idle mind.
The last evening was extremely special. I've never seen Bopas like that, with that kind of knowledge. Usually they're telling a story. This guy actually lives it.
He's a discovery, but not something for Riff.
I would never even dream of asking him. Things like that are too sacred. It's not a performance, not entertainment.
Mamta, yeah, Mamta, just wondering, by when will you finish the design? Tomorrow? No, it has to go into print today, darling. Okay, Mamta, thanks. Bye. We have some Chakri dancers, we have Kalbelia, about 180 artists.
Variety show.
Variety show, absolutely.
You can sing some really naughty songs as well.
Absolutely.
John's foundation has proved that there are plenty of traditional acts which can pull the crowds. As well as the international festival, Riff, they organise village festivals to build that all-important local audience.
And what's really amazing is that the stage that we are on has been specifically built for this event. Somebody who used to be a part of this village made it big. He lives in Belgium now. He agreed to actually pay for this stage. The angle is a little off, but it's great. It's fantastic. We're thrilled. We love it.
The village seems charged up. They want it. So we'll get it done.
The performers have come from all over Rajasthan.
From the artist's point of view, it's taken them 9 hours to get here. So they would never be able to meet artists from other parts. So this becomes like a brotherhood now.
8,000 people are here, from the villages and towns round about. People brought up knowing these traditions and who understand the words of the songs.
Most of the artists traditionally performed in their own village settings. Some of them would have patrons who would invite them over to perform for them. The traditional settings are beginning to dwindle and fall apart. So for us, coming in, it is an intervention. The idea behind these village festivals is about cultivating new audiences. The audiences who would be coming here otherwise would be sitting in front of the television sets.
What's happened in our society is we've become segregated because there's no occasion to sort of hang out together. For a Muslim guy to be with a Hindu or with a one caste to be meeting another. If there was a cobbler, you went to him to get your shoes made, and you'll have to have about 4 sittings with him. You came to know his daughter, he came to know about your son, etc. So there was an opportunity to interact. Well, now the shoe comes ready-made. So this is one way of bringing the entire village together. Now they'll have 3-4 hours for positive vibrations. And hopefully they'll go back friends.
In its modest way, theirs really is a visionary idea, whittling away at the caste system, at rural poverty and the religious divide through music. And the diversity of talent on show here is quite extraordinary. Such richness and weirdness and wildness. And so many cross-dressers. What is that tradition all about?
When I have dressed, put on makeup, jewelry and the full costume, then I cannot say 100%, but 60%, I have the feeling that I'm a woman. My walk, gestures, my style of speech, movements that come, all of it, it all feels like this is a woman's.
For Harish, it's been difficult. He's from an upper caste, the Rajputs or warriors. They see cross-dressing as something only for the lower orders.
They said that if you would kill somebody, even then we would have adjusted, or if you would have had to go to prison. If you were going to be hanged, we wouldn't have had to cry as much as we do now. You have dishonored the family name. That was why my family threw me out.
There was a period in your life where you too were attracted to this. Why were you attracted?
From beginning, I saw my mom and my mother and my grandma is encouraging me. When I was quite young, in the age of 16, 17.
And your sister was very understanding.
She's putting the kajal, makeup and everything. Yeah, yes, everything.
In Vinod's village, which is where last night's festival was held, the attitude to cross-dressing is quite different. Indeed, in spring, they have a festival where half the men in the village dress up and dance.
When I suddenly appeared in the main market, everyone loved it. Even the old, the young, the contemporary age people. Oh, you look so smart, so lovely. Everyone want to take the photographs, hugging. That's the great fun and affection.
Those who dress up in whatever way they want, who display their artistic talent, they perform with sincerity and wholeheartedness. My artistry is important to keep me in touch with my culture. Everyone who comes to these festivals of ours from towns round about thinks, why is our town so poor? It's not envy, but recognition that actually this town is rich, and theirs could be too.
They are the face of that area. And when some people oppose it, I think it's totally discouraging and unacceptable. Because once upon a time, my mother, Meri Ma, and my sister is encouraging me. That's why I celebrate and I participate in my village. But when I heard many stories about the objection of this thing, I feel very sad about that.
The old ways are like an echo in India, a heartbeat, especially in this poor and rural state. They aren't strong enough to survive unaided against the onslaught of the new India. John and his team are striving to keep the music alive in this modern world, now that the old ways of making a living from music are dying out. What were those old ways? We decided to go to the top to find out. The Maharaja may no longer be top dog. Soon after independence, the Maharaja's lost all real power, but he's certainly still treated as if he is. Over there, is that you as a young man?
No, that's my father.
That's your father.
That's my father's wedding picture. By 1949, he was still recognized as a Maharaja with certain titular privileges, but no real powers.
But this extraordinary palace is still your home?
It is partly my home, it is partly a hotel. I mean, more a hotel and a small portion is my home, which you're in now.
Yes. This palace was built quite recently, comparatively, wasn't it?
This was built as a famine relief program. There was a very severe drought, 1929, and this was grandfather's private project to provide work, because people wanted work. And they said, we don't want handouts, we want work. Things changed much more rapidly than one thought they would.
The system of patronage started with the Maharaja at the top. His court was a major patron of musicians and trickled right down through society, always with the musicians pretty near the bottom of the pile.
The Hindu system has all these castes, and each caste had a place in the overall structure of society. Music was interwoven into the life, the festivals, the occasions, the birthdays, the religious ceremonies, and you took it all for granted. I think we probably missed one beat. Post-independence, we went forward, development, modernization, democracy. You can't turn the clock back. Culture also is not static, it's fluid. So we have to find the right place for these traditional musicians. They have talent, they have great skills, which can be placed side by side with some of the best in the world.
These are Manganya musicians. That's a caste. They're professional musicians by birth. It literally means beggars.
These are very serious musicians. He's traveled more than I have. His passport, you got about 4 of them stuck together because the pages are run out. As far as general talent goes, they have, I think, the most. They can play any kind of instrument. They adapted themselves to play wind instrument, strings. They sing. They have drums of all kinds. So they can range everything from the birth of classical music. Apparently it came from folk. And they're very familiar with all the Indian rags. And of course they can go into Bollywood or something.
They're Muslims but play for Hindu patrons. This extended family has been particularly successful, but despite that still live on the edge of this village. Sahakan. What did he say there?
Welcome.
He's around 74.
He's young.
Not by our standards. You go through 3 summers in India and you get about 10 years older.
Having worked with this gentleman for ages, I know what it is like, and I love it.
He is one of the eldest player of Kamacha, which is a string board instrument. This is the only person I know who's got 3 generations live and they're actually playing.
Do all the children believe that is their destiny? They will all become performers, and that's how they see their lives, all these children, this little boy here.
an engineer.
Yeah, he would like to be an engineer.
He's a rebel.
Yamar's elder son, kind of the Kamacha was there. He's a very good Kamacha player. Yeah, he would like to be a great player of Kamacha.
We don't have many girls here. In fact, I can only see one peeping around the doorway.
Yeah, girls, women don't perform. No.
Computer engineer.
Oh, he wants to be a computer engineer. Wow.
So why are these children ambivalent?
No matter how great performer they are, still they believe that there's in social hierarchy they are very low, they are performer. It's only when they are out of their patrons and their social network, then they feel very proud that we are a performer.
Amazingly, it's suddenly revealed that there have been patrons in the room all along.
They are their patrons. Bhattis.
Oh, these two are their
Yes. Peppa is saying that his father is his patron.
They don't exactly look intimidating.
He runs a private school and he runs a confectionery store. He was telling me that ritual of death or birth or wedding will not be completed without the presence of Manganyars.
The patron was saying, if I lose my child, so what? I can produce another one. But where will I get my Manganya from?
They told that for last 20 years they have been performing all over India and abroad. Sakarji has performed with Ravi Shankar Yodi Manian. George Harrison. Since they have performed outside with great master, they don't feel that, oh, now we are great performer. The moment they are at their patrons, they will behave exactly the way that they're supposed to behave.
When I've offered some of these people really good money to go to Bombay or someplace where there was a big performance going on, and at the last minute they said, the patron has called me and I can't go. I said, well, what's the patron going to give you? He said, even if you give me 1 rupee, I'll go there.
The first person to work with the musician castes of Rajasthan was Kamal Khatari. In the 1960s, he set up a folklore research centre. While his collaborators collected folk tales, Kamal was enchanted by the music of the villages.
When Kamal Kothari realized that there is a great treasure of folk music and songs are there, he went to village and he recorded that. Kamal Kothari was the first person who brought these traditional performers out of their traditional circumstances, out of their traditional patrons, and put into a stage. Kamal Kothari died, and there was a vacuum. There was no one in Rajasthan left with great sincerity to carry on what Kamal Da was working. So John Da took the baton.
Unfortunately, I didn't have to do the whole of Rajasthan because 25% of Rajasthan had been covered by this great friend of ours, Komal. So I had the job of discovering the performing arts in 3/4. I started going into areas which, I'd never been to before. And there's always some amount of suspicion. What the hell is he doing sort of running around these places? There's got to be a catch.
felt like flamenco personally.
Some scholars say that these gypsy groups from Rajasthan, their original dancing influenced flamenco.
Gypsies the world over are thought to originate from India. One of the groups Kamal Khatari worked with were these Kabelia gypsies.
I remember I was playing the pungi and wandering about. Komal Kothari made me play and sing the old things. Komalda would say, "Listen son, this is your inheritance."
I was 16 when Kamal Khatari recorded with me.
I had a particular nose ring at that time.
It was in Kamal Khatari's house in his village. When I was a child, he even took me abroad with my father. We sang the songs we sang when we took our animals for grazing, just passing the time.
It's John's first visit to this group. Like Kamal Khatari before him, John likes the old styles, so what they're doing now is a little too tourist-orientated for his taste. It's pretty amazing, though. Bollywood has soaked up their style and reflected it back to them. In a sense, they're copying a copy of themselves.
The girls in the black have been filmed to death. There's about 1 million feet of footage on that. Totally stereotyped. Come on.
Will you ask him if they will sing for us then?
Request है जो आप अपने टूरिस्ट के लिए गाते हो ना वो मत करो आप दोनों को तो मालूम है
अर्ज करूंगा मैं तो ये बढ़िया बरस हो रहा है कहीं है कि नई फैशन में
He was telling that life has changed totally. Today the girls are copying Bollywood or this or that. But John said, please sing some songs, ancients. Your grandfather used to sing. They said, okay, we'll do that.
And without all the accompaniment of the modern drums, etc., because they didn't have that. Just for today, don't do these other things. We're not tourists. In some ways, we probably are.
Mohini is delighted to go back to the original.
I say, do the old styles, don't do the new. Sing in Mawari, the local language. Eat, sit up and get up in Mawari. Even tea. Now we drink from a cup. We used to drink from clay pots. I really like that. We sing our songs during weddings, when we're celebrating. These are the songs I like. I don't like film songs.
He kept on saying that the children don't follow the tradition. I said, there's no need for them to even follow that. They are next generation, they will come up with their own.
You're not saying just simply retain the old ways of doing things. You're saying find new ways which are true to yourself. Don't just copy what you see elsewhere.
Exactly, yes. You cannot, this is not about preservation. Don't restrict them just to tradition. Let tradition inspire them.
A group of young Rajasthani musicians are doing precisely that. They're collaborating with Manchester beatboxer Jason Singh.
I've been involved in lots of underground music genres from like hip-hop and house and drum and bass and all these other kind of musical forms, and a lot of the Rajasthani rhythms are similar in cycles that just, once you're in them, you just get hooked and they just take you over. So trying to bring together beatboxing with the Rajasthani percussionists, it fits like a glove. He's like urban poet, MC.
Is he the big guy?
The big dude, yeah, who we call Tiger.
He's really enjoying it.
Yeah, he's full into it. But that song is about how India is changing so much and the influence of technology. He's quite radical. He's been banned from certain cities because whatever he feels that needs commenting on death of little girls through to the injustices of corruption and all the rest of it, he's just in there. And I think a lot of people get scared by that. But he does it in such a charming way that you're just like, oh yeah, tell us about all the injustices of the world. You know, it's brilliant.
अरे प्रेम वो चीज है पत्थर को भी भगवान बना देता है.
Before we came into the picture, the musicians be asked to come into the back door. Yeah, come and perform and get lost.
But now it's changed, you think?
It's changed a lot. They come and sit with us. They eat with us. The big chief will go and hug them. But it makes everybody else understand that this guy is worthy of respect. So it's a small little thing we do and it brings good results.
India is very much in love with the future. Many Indians look on the past as a whole succession of humiliations. The British, before the British, were successive Mughal dynasties. They have to go right back to find something that's glorious. Everything that smacks of progress, power, of money in the future is exciting. The past is not.
What about the work that John Singh is doing in faith? How important do you think that is to keep it alive?
This entire oral tradition with its own epics attached to it, like a living tradition, as if Homer was still alive, telling the story of the Iliad on a daily basis to villagers in Greece. This still survives just by a thread here in Rajasthan. It's only if you have some new form of funding which can bring them a living, like performing in a venue like this, in a festival like this, that tradition will survive.
How come the government doesn't invest in this and understand that this will actually strengthen the communities?
I think it does. It doesn't invest in it the way, to the extent it should, and possibly not in the way it should. I think the most important thing really that government or any private foundation can do is actually still the old-fashioned way of doing it, which is to give patronage, to give an opportunity, to give a chance.
We are not agents, we are not promoters, we are not in the business of this. For us, it's far more important that people see something that we present and like enough to want to make it move on further. If you take a tree, you won't water the apple. For us, it's nourishing it at root. I mean, that's really what our work is. Ensuring that the roots of that tree go deeper and deeper and deeper, because the tree will grow on its own.
I'll put the picture up when I get this house repaired. It will get ruined otherwise.
What does it make you think of?
Going back once more. I just want to go back once more.
Alan Yentob traces the hidden history of Iraq's disappearing Jewish community on the Radio 4 website. Film drama next tonight on BBC One starring Liam Neeson and Antonio Banderas, The Other Man.